welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast. We are the web's #1 source for information on the Boston Red Sox farm system from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Pawtucket and all stops in between. Thank you for the listen. My name is Chris Hatfield. I'm the executive editor of SoxProspects.com, and I am joined by our director of scouting, Ian Kundle, sporting while I've been gone, Ian, you've grown a very nice thick beard. I'm very impressed.
Well, I missed you, so I wanted to fill the void in my life because I haven't seen your beautiful beard in so long, so I decided to grow my own.
That's so nice. That might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Oh, you're welcome.
You usually like yell at me and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's because you say dumb things.
Fair enough.
Someone has to put you in your place.
That's true. We are recording this on Saturday, May the 25th. We've got a little bit to talk about. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I've basically just been catching up with Ian, seeing what the heck's been going on. We've got some things to talk about, some players who are hot, some rehabbing major leaguers, some major leaguers who we said last episode might go back down and are definitely not going back down. So we've got some stuff to talk about there. We've got 3 listener emails. So if you want to send us an email, we want to talk about what you want to hear about. So hit us up at podcast@soxprospects.com. We also want to shout out our patrons on patreon.com/soxprospects. Our $5 level patrons are Sox Signatures, Kirby Miller, Kyle Costigan, Tyler Woodrow, Tim Ware, Jeff Trainer, David Nardone, Tim Harding, Bill Stanton, Deb Kendall, Evan Kirkwood, Hurricanes 1, Chris Fox, James O'Hara, Nathan Kenyon, Andrew Wallen, Lendell Martin, Pat from New Hampshire, Ben Burnett, and David B. If you are contributing at the $2 level at patreon.com/SoxProspects, you'll get access to the Patreon game updates. We have not done one in a while just because the weather and our schedules have conspired against us getting to games, frankly. But Ian should be getting to more games in June. I'm going to have games almost every weekend in July. I'm going to get to see Lowell and Aberdeen, hopefully. I'm going to get to see Salem again in Frederick. And I'm going to get to see Portland in Bowie. So I'll be sending in reports from those games. Ian's going to hopefully catch Portland and Pawtucket here soon, and Lowell when they get started.
Lowell should be good, too, given who hasn't been called up to Greenville yet.
Yeah. We kind of thought that Anthony Flores, Nick Decker might get called up, and we knew that Danny Diaz was probably going to be in Lowell, but it looks like, as of right now, at least, all 3 of those guys are going to be in Lowell, so that team's going to be really fun to watch this year as well.
Yeah, we'll probably talk more about previewing them after the draft, I would say, when we have a better idea of what else might be going there.
We will. And another thing, Ian, that I just realized too, before our next episode, or potentially before our next episode, the Dominican Summer League is getting started soon.
Ooh, DSL season.
So the Red Sox are going to have 2 teams again, mostly guys we've never heard of, save for a handful.
That's my favorite part. Is I'm looking at the projected roster right now, and I'm like, I have heard of 3 of these people.
Yeah. And actually, there's been a fair number of guys who we at one point had projected for the DSL that are now up in our Gulf Coast League projection, which, by the way, at this point, it's just a running joke. I should mention we've updated our Gulf Coast Red Sox projection to no longer have Christopher Acosta on the roster. It does not look like – it just looks like that's not a thing again.
We're the only people in the world who have a Gulf Coast League projection, so it's all right.
Yeah, I mean – that's what we do, man.
It is what we do.
It's how we're built.
It is going to be interesting, though, monitoring DSL stats mean nothing, as we say, but just, seeing some of the couple big ticket guys they got last year getting out. Cause I know, and Ben Badler, who does a great job covering the international market at Baseball America, wrote about, the Red Sox international signees and had some nice things to say about a few of the outfielders they signed. And I think one of the pitchers too. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on once that season starts.
Maybe we'll talk about them a little bit when the season starts and we know who's on what rosters, so that if anyone, goes to the Dominican and wants to see one of the 2 teams play, they know who to see. I don't know, something like that. But their season begins June 1, so that's starting really soon.
It's even before the draft. Wow, I guess it doesn't matter.
The draft doesn't matter for them. Yeah. Lowell starts June 21. Gulf Coast League starts June 24. Yeah,
Lowell's later this year than
they're later, and the draft seems early.
Yeah, because the draft for those, we keep mentioning it, is starts a week from Memorial Day. So next week on Monday, June 3rd.
June 3rd,
I think it's the first round and the supplemental first rounder. First and second. So the Red Sox will make 2 picks, since we're not going to probably have a podcast before then. The picks they get to make, nope.
1 pick. They don't have a first rounder, remember?
Why? Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. They don't have a first round pick.
Well, no, but they have
they do, but it's not until you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You see what I have to deal with? I have to tell him he's wrong and correct him all the time.
No, okay. No. They have... Yeah,
they have
so you know
picks.
What's confusing me is we have it as a second rounder on the website.
It's not. It's it's in the
well, you know what it is? It's a, quote, first rounder.
Yeah.
It moved back 10 spots, so it's really in the second round.
No, it's in the supplemental because it's with the comp picks.
No, it's not, Ian. It moved back 10 spots. Okay, we're going to solve this right now. MLB Draft Order 2019. Enter. MLB.com. The MLB Draft will be had on June 3 to 5.
Oh, it is in the second round. It's the second pick at the second round.
Oh, snap.
Barely. The competitive balance stops at 40. It's basically in the competitive balance.
No, it's literally in the second round.
Whatever. This is more or less.
The second round starts at pick 42. They pick at pick 43 because they dropped back 10 places because they went more than $40 million over the competitive balance tax threshold last year.
You know, they won the World Series. Who gives?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. I'll make that trade 10 times out of 10.
But they still have 2 picks because their second pick is number 69.
Nice.
Yeah. So and they're not getting the Craig Kimbrell pick. It's the extra Craig Kimbrell pick.
That's not a nice thing to say about him. He's a nice guy. They're not going to get that because they're going to pick at 43, 69, 107, and 137. And then every 30
would have been
picks.
Right around there, except he's not signing till after the draft.
Yeah, it would have been a 4th round pick. They would have been compensated, but they're not going to get it.
Needless to say, they don't have a lot of cap room, so the draft is going to be pretty different this year. I bet
Kimbrell signs within a week after the draft.
Oh, absolutely. But since the Red Sox, though, only have like under $5 million, they're not going to be able to do a lot.
No. Well, I mean, what you do is you shift it around, right? Because the other thing, too, is you don't have to pay the upside, quote unquote, to not picking earlier than 43 is that you don't have to pay a first-round pick $2 million. So the amount of money they have isn't a lot, but it's more than it looks like because it's not as much of it is getting eaten up by the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, sense? I guess they had $6 million last year as a point of reference.
Right, but how much of that did Casas get?
2.5. So, but his cap he got his full cap, which was 2.5. So if you take that out, it was basically they had 3.5 for the other picks.
Which is kind of my point. So the Red Sox, I mean, if they were drafting at 33, what the hell? Yeah, if they were drafting at 33, slot for that pick would have been $2.2 million, basically.
It's like an extra $500K, I think.
And at 43, it's 1.7.
Right.
So it'll be a little harder for them to go over slot. My guess is they probably go 3 college seniors.
They probably. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't. They're going to have to probably take a college guy in the first round because they need someone who will sign at or around slot, and then, as you said, they'll take college seniors in some combination of 3 rounds between 6 and 10.
Right.
And they probably will take one high school guy, like big ticket overage guy, and it'd probably be in the 3rd or the 4th round, I would guess. So we'll see what happens, though. It'll be interesting.
Right. Well, Ian, let's kind of we kind of got a little bit off track here, but I mean, what's happened since we had our last episode? Transaction wise, not a whole lot going on.
People get hurt. That's about it.
What's that?
People are getting hurt.
But coming back from getting hurt because Price got hurt and came back. Tyler Thornburg got hurt. Eovaldi was already on the DL. But it looks like, I mean, we were kind of seeing, let's talk about second base. Michael Chavis, we talked about him last time to start the episode. Let's do that again, Ian.
He hits home runs. He hits
bombs. We'll go ahead and use Ice Horse because Section 10 is good to us. So the Ice Horse. We're actually going to be doing a little bit. I guess I could probably say it on here, right? It's not even much, but we're going to be sending them their Down on the Farm update every week. The player that they're going to spend about 3 seconds talking about and talk about Eddie's goat milk, which I really want that shirt. But Michael Chavis. Last episode, I literally said what's going to happen is he's going to go into a slump, and they're going to use that to send him back down to Pawtucket. Chavis got into a slump.
Yeah, he went 0 for, I think it was
16
like 18 or something.
0 for 18. Yeah. And he worked his way out of it, and he's still up in Boston. So I was very wrong. But that's
I think part of the contributed to that circumstance is the context that Brock Holt got hurt again on his rehab assignment and had to restart it.
That had just happened at our last episode.
Yeah, and then Pedroia unfortunately keeps getting hurt. So
right.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, I mean, Chavis, he had that 0 for 18 stretch, and he pulled out of it, and since May the 12th, he, in 11 games, is hitting 286, 314, 531, 4 bombs in 11 games, 14 strikeouts, and 51 plate appearances. So I still kind of have some concern about how sustainable this is.
Well, the walks have really tailed off.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got one walk in those 11 games.
Yeah, like in April, he wasn't striking out as much, but as pitchers seem to be becoming more used to him, the strikeout numbers are going up, the walks are going down. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of what we expected. Like, he's never going to hit. I don't think Chavis is ever going to hit more than like 270, 280 in a year. So he's kind of regressing back to down where I expect him to be long term. Even probably, I mean, realistically, he's probably like a 250, 260 hitter. But I mean, we're seeing what he can do, and with the way the baseball plays right now, it really accentuates what he's able to do because he hits the ball really hard and he hits it a long way. And when he makes contact, it goes very far. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, even if he hits 250, 260, he's probably going to hit 30 home runs given the way the game is played these days. And, at second base, where it seems like he's going to be the everyday guy going forward, or at least for the foreseeable future, that's obviously a pretty valuable player. I mean, that's like Jonathan Scope, 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, he's second on the team in home runs, despite the fact that he's, played like 20 games fewer than everybody else.
Yeah.
Second on the team in slugging to Moreland. I mean, he's basically Moreland with a little higher average at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but that's going to level out.
But he's also able to play second base passively.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the second base thing is, he's not great. I mean, we still see,
there's errors.
There's
costly errors. Costly errors.
Correct. And there are going to be. I mean, he's played, I think, 6 games at second base heading into when they called him up. Right. So he's kind of learning on the fly. And I think, obviously we talked about in the past, having guys like Carlos Fabulous on the coaching staff, I'm sure has really helped ease the transition. Mm-hmm. But long term, he's never going to be a standout defender at second base. We know that. The value is with the bat. And as you pointed out, I mean, he's really been carrying the offense, especially with not him alone, but he's done a good. Him and Rafael Devers have kind of been the two guys who have been leading the charge this month as the Red Sox have gotten hot and kind of put themselves back in contention.
They have. And I mean, it's really we're starting to kind of see, I think, Ian, they're really starting to see what they have and make kind of the tough choices on the roster. I think this is right around when they DFA'd Hanley Ramirez last year, right? When Pedroia came back the first time in June.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it before we recorded, but I would not be surprised to see one or two of the current MLB guys getting DFA'd at some point in the next couple of weeks as others return.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Holt, he's now on his third rehab assignment of this stretch. Since May the 15th, he's played in 8 games. He's hitting 240, 387, 440. It really does look like he's getting close to coming back. And another guy who looks like he might be getting close to coming back is Brian Johnson. They're both in Portland right now because that's just where, I think it's just because of who's close. Probably I didn't look at the schedule to see who's home and who's away. But Brian Johnson now has made a couple of rehab starts. He probably needs a couple more. Probably 2 or 3, maybe a couple. I'd like to see him make 2 more. I think he makes one of them today or tomorrow. So he'll have made his third rehab start this weekend, probably before people hear this. But he's getting close-ish, depending on what they want him to do. If they want him to start, I mean, his first outing he threw 32 pitches. His last outing he threw 54. So they're slowly working him back up to, it looks like, to a starter's workload to probably replace Ryan Weber in the rotation. So he'll probably do that. But, when Holt comes back, because he looks like he's the closest, I mean, what the move looks like Nunez or Pierce.
Yeah, you can't send Chavis down. I mean, he's hitting leadoff against lefties, he's hitting 6th against righties.
Chavis will play over Holt. I mean,
yeah, Chavis is the everyday second baseman now.
Yeah, so it's the question really is whether they want the roster spot for Pierce or Nunez to be, do you want this guy to play first with Chavis at second, or do you want Nunez to play second with Chavis at first? I mean, I don't know what the answer is.
I think you have to keep Pierce because he still has more upside at the plate. And if you don't kick Pierce, you literally don't have a pinch hitter because Sandy Leon is not a pinch hitter. He's the worst hitter in baseball, probably. And Brock Holt is no I mean, you don't want Brock Cole pinch hitting. So against tough lefties for Mitch Moreland, I think you have to keep Pierce around. Like, Nunez just doesn't add anything to the roster at this point in his career.
So Holt's a lefty, Nunez is a righty, right?
Righty.
So that's, I mean, and Pierce is also a righty. So that's why one of those two has that roster spot. It's just what you want out of that roster spot. When Zue Lin comes back, he gets optioned. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, they're not going to lose another guy.
Pedroia, I mean, he just.
At this point,
you hate to see it, but
you can't count on him.
No. I mean, it's if he comes back, super. Another thing we should mention, Ian, if that's going to be happening. So, actually, anything else on Chavis? I think we kind of exhausted that.
Nope.
One thing I just thought of is that Chase Shugart is very close to coming back off of his suspension.
Yeah.
And I think we're really starting to get, maybe this is a good transition, we're getting into legitimate promotion season. The only two actual promotions I think that we've seen so far, Ian, have been two relievers from Greenville up to Salem, and Alex Demchak and Rio Gomez, both left-handers who were just shoving in Greenville. Demchak, who's kind of a left-handed sidearm guy in Greenville in 10 innings, and 10 and 2/3, hadn't allowed a run, and had struck out 15 guys and walked 2, allowing 2 hits. Clearly too good for the level. Went up to Salem, and he kind of got whacked around a lot. He's currently on the injured list. ERA is over 8. Gomez also started off really great in Greenville. Gomez, of course, drafted last year out of University of Arizona. Right?
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago?
2017.
Okay, 2 years ago. That's correct. Thank you. Out of the University of Arizona. In Greenville in 24 and 2/3 innings, 1.09 ERA, 37 strikeouts to 4 walks, again in 24 and 2/3 innings for Gomez. Clearly was too good for the level. In his first appearance at Salem, he also kind of got whacked around a little bit. So, it's an adjustment, but we'll see how he adjusts. But I think we've got some guys who are close to getting promoted, Ian. Really,
I would agree.
The obvious one to me that we should talk about is Jarren Duran.
He's pretty good.
He's continuing to hit. The average is still above 400. It's kind of crazy.
Well, he's the highest average in minor league baseball. By
he's hitting 424, 485, 570. 16 steals in 18 attempts. He's at kind of that threshold. He's at 194 plate appearances. It's entirely possible that he's promoted by the time people hear this. My guess is that he gets promoted after Salem's game on Memorial Day. They have an off day the next day. Not for another month.
Oh, really?
He's going to get promoted before then.
Because the Florida State League announced their All-Stars already, so that's why I was wondering if it was coming up. They're not in the Florida State League, obviously, but they.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's just at the point that I get what you're saying. Where usually when guys are succeeding and playing well, they'll wait till the All-Star break to promote them.
Yeah.
Partially to let them play in the All-Star game, especially if it's a situation where they don't exactly factor in at the major league level plans.
Yeah. I mean,
but Duran's been too good.
I'm just looking at his he's on a 16-game hitting streak right now.
Yeah.
But over that 16 games, he's hitting 500, 562, 667.
Get him up. I mean, he's at this
or
point.
677, sorry.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, because the reason you keep a guy down for this long is you want him to see teams more than once and adjust to the adjustments that pitchers make to him. He's clearly done that. He's on fire.
I mean, we should mention, for context, the Carolina League is 6 teams?
8.
8. So you see the same guys over and over again.
Right.
So nothing is a surprise now. He's played Wilmington. I'm looking at it right now. They've played Wilmington for 3 series already, and that's who they're playing right now. 4 series. It's
including this one.
What?
Including the one that they're having right now?
No, they just finished the series, actually. But they've played, for example, they've played them 4 times this year already. So it's they know, everyone knows each other in this league already.
Yeah.
What he's doing is ready. He's not a 4. Obviously, he's never going to. He's not.
He's not a true talent 424 hitter.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, the underlying skills are there. He's walking. The walk rate's good. Striker rate's fine. He's not ever going to be a power hitter, as we've kind of talked about. But 13 doubles. He's going to hit triples. I mean, he's a legit player, and he's someone we identified early. We've liked him since we saw him in Lowell, and even the most rosiest, expectations or, outlook, I don't think you could have seen him coming out this year and doing this, considering, he basically, he did 30 games in Greenville last year, went straight to Salem, and in his minor league career, he's hitting 382 over 110 games. Like, it's amazing what happens when you take the Long Beach State swing out of people, I guess.
Man.
But
I saw a tweet the other day that said we're a long way from the days of Evan Longoria. Because there's another guy.
He was a Long Beach State guy too.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. Is like back in the day when Long Beach State was like a baseball factory. Now there was another guy who got out of there and is hitting really well. God, I can't remember. He's like a major leaguer too. But,
wasn't it Scott? No, Scotty was Stanford.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Stanford swing was the other one.
Right.
Because I just remember, I think we told the story on the pod, like amateur scouts came, who I talked to in Lowell, like, yeah, this is not the same swing we saw at Long Beach State. Because at Long Beach State, their whole thing is just put the ball in the ground the other way. Just put it in play. Just, slap the ball in the ground. And he comes to pro ball and just starts raking. And it's continued. And I think the question, I've gotten a lot of questions about him on Twitter and other areas. And he's the guy people seem to want to talk about is, what is realistically, he gets up to Portland this year. Mm-hmm. Like, is this someone you could potentially consider the long-term center fielder for the Red Sox? And
Matt Duffy.
What?
Matt Duffy.
Oh, is that who you're thinking? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think he's kind of putting himself in that conversation now. I haven't got any reports on the defense this year. Maybe you saw it a little bit.
I did. He's still learning out there, and he's even said that in interviews. He's still getting used to playing center field. But the thing is, I'm comfortable with him doing that in Double-A at this point.
Right, because when I saw him in spring training, there was a few, the reads weren't great, but his speed, it doesn't really matter, honestly.
That's what I've seen.
But the arm is not great, obviously. But and it's that. But you look at the Red Sox arm right now. Andrew Benintendi has a 30 arm, so they've shown that they're not that concerned. And with him in left field, and Duran's arm is better than that. So I think it's passable for center.
Feldman has a much better arm.
Yes, Duran. He does. I was just looking at our top prospects page, and they're right next to each other. And Feldman, I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I think the question is how high up can Duran go in the system? And
let me say this:
I think he's a top 5 guy now.
Oh, he easily is. He's probably going to be number 3 for me. And don't hold me to it, but kind of what I'm thinking in my head for what my rankings are going to be for the June 1 update. He's going to be number 3.
Well, Chavis isn't graduating, right?
Well, number 2 if Chavis graduates. That's 3 with Chavis there. Chavis is actually, he might graduate. It's going to be borderline.
That's too high for me. I don't think he's there yet, but it's close.
I do. I think I would take him over. Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this next time, but there's only a couple guys in the system that I wouldn't take over Duran right now. To me, the big thing, honestly, is how he performs in Double-A for 2 reasons. One, I want to get a better evaluation of his power. The Carolina League is where power goes to die unless you're Bobby Dahlbeck.
That is a fair point, because I remember what was it like? Bogarts hit 4 home runs there. Devers hit 3. Nobody hits home runs in there.
Well, I remember I saw a tweet from former Red Sox minor leaguer Tyler Hill, who I continue to follow because he's a very entertaining Twitter follow, and he tweeted some video of a guy pimping a long fly out to the warning track or something, and his quote, which was really funny, was "This is what the Carolina League looks like unless you're Bobby Dahlbeck."
Not wrong.
Right.
I've seen some of those. You've been to the stadiums,
right. And but it's funny because Duran, I forget, at some point, a little while ago, earlier this week, I think he had 16 extra base hits. 6 of them were in Frederick. Because Frederick's not a bad hitter.
Frederick's fine, because I've been there the most, obviously, out of all of them, because it's the closest.
He's got both of his home runs there. I saw him hit almost with a cycle there.
Normal park, of the Carolina League ones,
and it's actually a shade hitter friendly.
Yeah,
except for the dead center is deep, but the
high.
Right, but the foul poles are in a little bit, so the wind will carry out sometimes. Yeah. Potomac is actually a shade hitter friendly as well.
I've never been there, thankfully.
Yeah, it's not great. But I want to see how he performs in a more hitter neutral-ish league at least.
I'd say Hadlock, Portland Stadium, if you're a lefty, is probably about average. Because if you're a righty, it's plus because you got the wall. It's really short down left field. Right field in Portland is it's like 330, 340, but it's pretty high wall you have to clear. But the thing with the Eastern League is you get some away parks. Like friggin' the Phillies Park is a bandbox. Reading. It's like 280 down the line.
I remember, didn't Dylan Cozens hit
they had a team one year that
home runs there.
Three guys hit 30-plus home runs. It was Hoskins, Cousins, and Jake Fox, of all people.
Right.
Remember him? He was like a 34-year-old minor league.
Yeah, well, the Hoskins at least has legit power. But
but like Dylan Cousins is like a 4A guy who is never going to hit enough to play in the big leagues. And he I think it's 43 home runs or something there. Like Reading is a bandbox.
He was that year's Bubba Bell.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Duran, though, it's like I want to see him that, but I also want to see him against Double-A pitching because that really is. I mean, if he succeeds against Double-A pitching in his first full pro season, Ian, by that point, Chavis will have graduated, and I will have no question Duran's the number one prospect in this system.
And I think that with certain things, obviously, like the context, you need to remember, like he's like 6 months younger than Chavis, so he's a little on the older side for the college draftees, but he's still only 22. I mean, he's not that old.
He's not
but
that old.
He will turn 23 this year. So during the season, September. But
I mean, come on. It's still his age 22 season.
We're nitpicking here, though. Like, once you get to the top, this is what you have to do.
That's true.
But so he's a little old still. But I also think that he's different, unique for a college case because of how much changed. And so you can't you kind of have to throw out his college career at this point. Like, it's weird to say, but like when evaluating him, like it's not the same guy. It's a completely different player. It's like guys who undergo a swing change. Well, that's exactly what he did. So when guys do this, you kind of have to throw out what you know from the past and kind of come in with a blank slate. And, you know, even if he doesn't hit for power, I still think there's enough to be a first division player there. Like, because of the potential defense, speed, and average, like, the ceiling is there that he's like, you know, Jacoby Ellsbury in the non-power year. I mean, I know a scout who threw that exact comparison on him. Like, it's been said to me before. Like, it's athleticism, the left-handedness, obviously, speed, defensive ability, fringy arm, like contact skills. It's there. So it's just, as you said, will it translate to the upper minors? And signs point towards yes at this point.
The Ian Cundall Magic 8 Ball. The other guy that's probably been on a tear that we should talk about, Ian, is Bobby Dahlbeck. Dahlbeck did not have a great April. In April, he hit 197.
Who could have seen that coming?
361, 318. He struck out 22 times in 83 plate appearances, so that's 27% of the time, actually. And we talked about this last episode, Ian. We talked about Portland in April. We talked about the strikeout rate was actually coming down and the walk rate was up. Yeah. At least from where he was in Double-A last year. The walk rate was back to where it was in Salem.
Correct.
In May, he's hitting a lot better. In May, in 22 games, he's already played more games, which is hilarious because they had so many games because of weather.
It was brutal.
Yeah, but in roughly the same number of plate appearances, 280, 386, 627 slugging, 6 home runs. He, at one point, hit 5 home runs in a 4-game span.
Seems good. And it wasn't in Reading either.
No, it was
Trenton.
The 3-game. It's weird. He only played 1 game that series, so they probably got banged because of weather. Yeah, but he hit 1 in Portland. Didn't hit. He went 0 for 4 in Portland. Went to Trenton, and in the 1 game there, he hit 3 home runs.
Yeah.
And then in the next game in Hartford, he had 1.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll do May the 2nd because he started the month with an 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. But since May the 2nd, 292, 400, 653, 13 extra base hits in 21 games. So he's got 6 doubles, a triple, and 6 home runs. I mean, this is what he does. He gets hot.
When he gets hot, like we've all seen it before, he gets really hot.
Yeah, I mean, 17 strikeouts in 85.
That's the thing for me. That's the big number.
In 85 plate appearances, that's a 20% strikeout rate.
That's huge for him.
Yep.
And that's what I need to see. Like, we'll say it over and over again. The walks are going to be there. He's got 13 walks in that time span to 17 strikeouts.
Yep.
If he's under 27%, then he has a very good he's a legit guy.
Yeah.
If he's under, I would say, I think the cutoff point is like 27%.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. But he has to make good contact. I don't think he's ready for a promotion.
No.
Because I've seen calls in our forum for a promotion. He's been good for a month. Let's let him consolidate some gains here. It's not like the Red Sox need a third baseman.
He's an all-star break promotion candidate.
You think even that?
Yeah, like July. Isn't that when the All-Star game is?
Is the AAA, because the AAA one is the same weekend.
Yeah, it's like July.
Yeah, okay.
Beginning of July, give him, 2 months or, give 2 months in AAA for heading in next year. I think that's about right.
Yeah. If he, yeah. I mean, because again, it's like, I don't see the major league fit unless he replaced Pierce.
No, they don't. He's not going to be in the big leagues this year. There's no way.
I don't know if there's no way.
He's not even on the 40-man roster.
It's unlikely. Yeah, but they could add. They've got Ryan. Look at the 40-man roster.
Sure, it's probably not even full right now.
It is because they had a DFA Chandler Shepard, who I guess we should mention. Chandler Shepard
team already.
Yeah, was claimed off of waivers by the Chicago Cubs, and then the Cubs tried to pass him through waivers, and he was claimed by the Baltimore Orioles, aka Red Sox South. But, I mean, the Red Sox, the following players are on the 40-man roster, Ian. Oscar Hernandez, Ryan Weber, Joey Curletta, who the Red Sox claimed off of waivers from Seattle recently. I, for some reason, thought he was one of the indie ball signees, but he was claimed off of waivers from Seattle.
Know who that is.
He's in Portland. He's a first baseman.
Good for them.
Josh Smith is on the 40-man roster. And, if you wind up DFAing Steve Pearson and Eduardo Nunez, they also open up spots.
Wait, you said he's in Portland?
Yeah, Joey Curletta. He's on the IL right now.
Oh, gotcha. I was trying to find him on our rosters page, and I couldn't.
Because he's on the IL.
Yes, I'm aware of that now.
Yeah, and Tyler Thornburg, too, actually. Thornburg's on the IL right now, but...
Yeah.
You've got... That's like 7 potential DFA candidates.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't think there's the need. I think he's the type of guy that they would rather go out and trade for someone who has a similar profile, like a Steve Pearce type, because you don't have to give up much, than, bring up someone internally. And
I don't know, because here's the thing. You just said they don't have a pinch hitter. You could easily have Dahlbeck be a pinch hitter in September.
Yeah, but Dave Dombrowski's going to go trade for someone. He's not going to call Bobby Dahlbeck to do that.
I don't know about that. If he gets promoted at the All-Star break and he hits in Pawtucket, look, Chavis hit in Pawtucket for how many at-bats before they called him up? That was a unique
situation, though.
Yeah, but they were comfortable doing it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I realize that. I think it's just a unique situation. I don't know, but Dahlbeck's hitting and it's good.
Anyway. Okay, so that's Dahlbeck. Anyone else that you think might be looking at a promotion, Ian? Let's look at the stats. Your leaders in the system right now. How about that? In batting average, it's Duran, followed, let's see, batting average, it's Duran followed by, let's do 50 at bats. Ryan Fitzgerald in Salem, who has kind of tailed off a little bit. He stays in Salem. He's hitting 321. He stays in Salem until at least the All-Star break. Marco Hernandez is optioned to Pawtucket. He needs a lot of at-bats just because he needs the reps before I consider him a major league option. CJ Chatham.
He's injured.
Still not hitting for a lot of pop. I want to see a little more pop out of him before they move him up to Pawtucket. Yeah. I don't mind him spending most of the year in Portland. Let's see, looking at OBP.
I'm looking, the only, going down to Greenville, maybe you could see something with the first baseman, because
Devlin Granberg.
Yeah, Devlin Granberg was the one I was going to point out, because that had freed up for Casas, Howlett to get, play every day at first and third and not have to worry about DHing.
Well, now, Granberg mostly DHs.
Oh, really? Okay, that makes sense, because he doesn't need to play the field. But yeah. Because, looking at Greenville, we should probably talk about, Tristan Casas is coming around. Brandon Howlett's coming around. They're doing exactly what we said was going to happen.
Yeah, in May, Casas is hitting 320, 391, 613 with 5 home runs.
Yeah, and it's coincided with him shortening his setup pre-pitch. He's no longer crouching with his feet, farther apart than the road.
His shoulders, yeah.
Yeah, he had a wild stance, as we've kind of talked about when we saw him in spring training, and he's cleaned that up a little bit, and it seems the report I got from last week was very favorable. So he's having a really good year for his first 47 slug.
Yeah, I mean, 613 slugging in the month of May. He's got 12 extra base hits in 21 games. Howlett, just back up to kind of normal-ish. Still a lot of strikeouts, still 25 strikeouts in 69 at-bats. But he's hitting 261, 386, 377, so signs of coming around. He's been better off and on. He's kind of figuring it out. Devlin Granberg, we mentioned he's a promotion candidate. In the month of May, 365, 448, 608. A guy who we thought might go to Salem anyway.
Yeah, he's just a professional hitter. I mean, he knows what he's doing. And I think that the issue probably they ran into was numbers game. And once like Northcutt and those guys weren't going to Greenville, they already had Pedro Pedro Castellanos in Salem, excuse me. And so I think they just didn't want to,
Yeah, but at this point, Salem's got enough space there that I have no problem Granberg going up and being the primary DH there. I mean, that roster, especially once they lose Duran in the next week or so, that's going to be a pretty thin offensive roster. So you make room for a Granberg. Maybe he gets a little more time in left field, which he hasn't done at all in Greenville.
Yeah, he played there last year, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So he'll maybe get a little more time in the outfield. He can DH and spell Castellanos at first.
Makes sense.
So that's a candidate. Another candidate for promotion who's now on the DL, unfortunately, was Joan Martinez, relief pitcher in Salem, who's repeating that level. Last year, he was just really inconsistent. This year, that gave him a new splitter grip, and he's dominating. In 21 innings, he struck out 34, walked 8, allowed 5 earned runs on 17 hits.
Do you know what's impressive, too, about his stats is he's got those numbers. It's like 2.14 ERA, 17 hits in 21 innings, 1.19 WHIP. The opponent's batting average against him is 386 too. So BABIP, the batting average of balls in play is 386.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say they're only hitting 218.
Yeah, sorry. The BABIP is 386, so that could even come down.
He's been unlucky. That's a good point.
That's what I mean. Like he's been unlucky, and 37% K rate, 8% walk rate. Like that's kind of what we predicted when we saw him, coming off that first year with Greenville and Lowell. Like the stuff is legit. It's just when he's not throwing 2-inning stints and when he's throwing strikes, it works. But
can you say it right?
What
has Martinez been?
Legit?
No, as far as his BABIP.
Oh, his BABIP is 386.
Yeah, but what has he been?
I don't know.
Unlucky.
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't know where you were going with that.
Say it right.
No, that's all right.
All right, I ruined it. Anyway, all right, we just lost everyone.
Yeah, I would say we should also mention with the inactives in Salem, Brian Mata, shoulder soreness. That's concerning.
Especially because Alex Spear reported at one point he'd missed like a start or two, and he said Mata's going to start tonight, and then he just didn't, which was really, really strange. So, and this is something that's a little bit concerning to me because Mata was off to a great start. He was our April Player of the Month. Our pitcher of the month, I should say. And now, he kind of tailed off a little bit, and now he hasn't pitched in a bit. On the year, it's a 2.15 ERA, 31 Ks to 10 walks and 29 and a third innings. The numbers are great, but, his last season he finished early because of an injury. He needs innings. His season high for innings pitched is 77. And that was in 2017 in Greenville. I need him to pitch more, Ian.
I agree. It's a little concerning, and hopefully he's back soon. And if not, I'm sure. I just don't like hearing shoulders.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the roundup, I think, Ian. I got to get out of here really quick soon. Let's get to some emails.
Yes.
All right. Our first email is from Jamie Bunton. He says, longtime fan of the site and avid listener of the podcast from the UK. And he says, as of this writing, like Ian, hoping City beats Liverpool to win the Premier League title. But my reasoning is that Liverpool fans, despite being owned by John Henry, are as bad as Yankee fans. But that's what happened.
I was very happy. I was very happy. So
several questions he wanted to ask. Apologies if they've been asked before. Two of them we've kind of already talked about these guys. Brian Mata, breakout year. Last year it seemed like, from what I read, that he had a lot of control issues because he filled out, gained some velocity, and was struggling to control/command it. With him having the winter/spring training to improve his control/command and the addition of the cutter, do you see his fast start continuing, and what is his ceiling in the system/overall? Can he break the top 5 again / be a mid-rotation starter? It's an interesting question. I think, Ian, he's got to pitch more. I mean, he can't be a mid-rotation starter if he can't handle the workload.
That's the thing. I mean, and he's got the delivery is a little bullpenny, but with the addition of the cutter, the arsenal is startery, so it kind of
a lot better swinging strike percentage this year, getting
right.
whiffs.
So it was kind of one of those things where which way it could go either way, and if you have health concerns, kind of like what we saw them do with Travis Lakin, sometimes you just kind of force the hand and you have no choice but to put them in the bullpen. So, I mean, we'll have to see what happens and when he comes back. But obviously this year, the early returns were very encouraging.
Yeah.
He's done a good job. And, yeah, it's kind of like a wait and see now with this injury, which really sucks. But, that's kind of where we are.
Jarren Duran, what number does he wear for the Red Sox when he replaces Jackie Bradley in center field in 2021? In all seriousness, I've seen some Ellsbury comps on the forums and about 5 minutes ago on the podcast. Is that fair, or is there more you need to see from him the rest of the year / next year before we see him as an everyday center fielder / JBJ replacement? I think we've kind of basically already hit
it. Yeah,
right
I mean, and he'll probably wear number 2. Just that's his number.
That's not one they're saving or anything, right? Yeah, he can wear that one.
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Number 3, and this is maybe a little more detailed, maybe something we'll have to get into another time, but he says ranking scale. I've never quite understood the scouting ranking scale of 20 to 80.
Oh, sorry. I'm kidding. Xander Bogaerts wears number 2.
All right, I thought someone wore number 2.
Yeah, I thought so too, but then I had to check, so I don't know.
So who knows? Anyways, he says, I've never quite understood the scouting ranking scale of 20 to 80. I was wondering if you could explain it in terms of current Red Sox players. For example, is Mookie a 70 to 75 hit tool, JD 70 power, JBJ 75 field? The reason I ask is that I've seen Dahlbeck and Chavis described as having 60 power and Duran as 70 speed, but they all seem more like 65 to 70 power and 75 to 80 speed, respectively, based on what I've read compared to other prospects. Keep doing what you guys do. It's great stuff and really appreciate it. All the best, Jamie Bunton. Thanks for the email, Jamie. By the way, Bunton, very British last name. I guess just speaking very generally about the 2080 scale, Ian, again, for folks who don't know, it's based on deviations, 2 standard deviations from the mean, right? Is 20 to 80?
50 is average.
I understand that, but I'm saying
yes.
That's why it's 2080.
No, 3, 60, 70, 80.
No, standard deviations. 3 standard deviations would be...
right. Yeah, 10. You're right. Sorry, I haven't taken out stats in
Yeah. I got a 5 on my AP stats exam, man. But yeah, so it's standard. So it's like, it's not linear.
No. The majority of the people are in the middle, and then it gets smaller as it goes. It's like it's called like a parabola or something or whatever.
It's a bell curve.
Bell curve, whatever.
Yes, it's a bell curve. Yeah.
And so at the ends, you have fewer guys, especially the higher you get towards the major league level.
So 80 tools are rare. I mean, 80 speed is Billy Hamilton. 80 power
speed is probably the most common thing.
Right. 80 power is Joey Gallo.
80 velocity in this day and age, but
true.
You don't really call velocity a separate thing. But I mean, I guess you see. So yeah,
Jordan Hicks is 80 velocity, right?
Yeah, well, he's like 90, but yeah,
right.
But yeah, I think like the Red Sox don't really have anyone with an 80 tool.
No,
I'll confidently say that. Maybe Dahlbeck's raw power if you want to be like super nutty, but I don't think so. I think it's like a 70.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and that's 70 raw, and and I guess. Well, you go generally, and then I'll talk a little bit specifically about the guys he's talking about.
Well, no, I was just going to say, like, it's not the thing is, it's not in comparison to other minor leaguers either. What you're talking about when we say a tool grade is like, it would be compared to like if they were at the major league level. So it's like right now, like a future, like, so for example, Jarren Duran right now has 70 speed, and that's like speed's the easiest to time because it's just, you take a stopwatch out, you time them from home to first, and that's how fast the guy is. It's kind of like, it's cut and dry. Obviously, the other ones are a little more abstract, but like when we talk about Bobby Dahlbeck, when I say raw power, that's literally just how far he can hit the ball. Doesn't matter if he does it in games or not. It's just how far can he hit the ball, and it's just him. Like it's not comparing to anyone else. It's just
it's different than
how far. What'd you say?
I was saying, and it's different than in-game power.
Correct, but it's also just how far can he hit the ball. Doesn't matter. I don't care how far any other prospect can hit it. It's just how far can he hit it. And I'm not comparing those two. It's just him. I know what that's 70 power. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, we have to consider. It's, you're not comparing them to other players on the team to get their tools. You're putting it in like the whole kind of grand scale of everything is what you need to look at has.
Right. And I mean, I've got up the Fangraphs. Kylie McDaniel in 2014 wrote kind of a Scouting Explained series, and he described the 20/80 scale. And there are some objective tool grades, like, for a batting average, a 50 batting average is 260. 80 batting average is if you hit 320. And this is like on the reg. This is year after year. This isn't like you hit 320 once and every other year you hit 280.
Well,
right?
the thing you need to consider also is that like those numbers vary from like
they will vary generationally, and that's
the
what
MLB scouting scale is different than that. For example, like the one that the official Major League Baseball gives out at Scout School and everything is a little different than that.
Right, and so like
tailor their own personal scales to them.
Well, and like fastball velo on this. He's got a 50 fastball is 90 to 91 and an 80 fastball is 97. I think you need to crank that up now. I think 92, 93 is 50 velo.
Yeah. That's the one I'm looking at is 89 to 91 is like 50 velo. But yeah, now I would say that's like
80 velo isn't 97 anymore. Every relief pitcher throws 97 now.
Except for Red Sox ones.
Right, basically. But yeah, I mean, speed to first for a right-hander. If you're a right-handed hitter and you're 4.3 seconds to first, that's 50 speed.
Yeah.
Jaron Duran has 70 speed. That's 4 seconds flat to first. I've seen him between that and 75.
I got 398 was the fastest I've ever got him.
I was at the game I was at. He was a 396. So he's like 70 to 75 speed.
Yeah.
He's not 80 speed. Like it's measurable.
But I understand what he's saying, though, in the context of when you compare him to the other guys on the team. Yeah, he's the fastest guy on the team, which I guess if you look at it that way, he's 80 speed, but that's not how it's like done. Right. That's not how the scale works.
Right. So, but that's, I mean, it's, I would say check out the Fangraph Scouting Primer. They have one. They did an update recently to basically how they use it. But there's stuff out there on how the 20/80 scale works too. Thanks for the email, Jamie. Our next email comes from Jason Bonini. Excuse me. And Jason says, what do you guys think of Josh Ockamy taking over for Mitch Moreland next year? He's always been way better against right-handers, but his splits this year are insane. I feel like he's gotten off the hot starts before, though. Are you seeing anything different from this year? Thanks for the email, Jason. He hits on exactly my thing. I need to see him do this for the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him recently, and he's obviously, we talked about, I think, the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago when I saw them. He's in much better shape than past years, but he's also done this before and still tailed off in the second half. And so, it's just, that's what I need to see is, it's all well and good to get off to a good start. And obviously, I mean, the splits this year are insane, as Jason said. Like, we were looking at it earlier. I think he has 3 hits off lefties all year. He's 76.
I can pull him right here. Against left-handers, he's 3 for 38, hitting 079, 217, 237. He's struck out 15 times in 43 plate appearances.
He just doesn't see the ball well. It's a
32.6% strikeout percentage. Take your pills, Ian.
No, that wasn't that. That was someone trying to FaceTime me.
Okay. But yeah, so that's against left-handers. Against right-handers, 303, 488, 742. In 87 plate appearances, he has 10 home runs. 7 doubles and a triple. He's mashing. He clearly loves the new AAA baseball, which we're going to get to in a minute. On the year, he's hitting 236, 413, 591. But, I mean, here's the thing, right? He's got 30 hits. 20 of them are for extra bases. Like 2/3 of his hits have been for extra bases, and actually in May he's leaned into that even more. In May he's got 13 hits, 9 of them are for extra bases, including 7 home runs. It's a really weird profile. So I need to see what he does for the full season. I think at this point it's still a tough profile, Ian, but would you protect him on the 40-man if the season ended?
Probably.
Right? You kind of have to. With the power he's showing.
I understand why you didn't last year, but
I think you almost kind of have to because he's
kind of have to because he's as you said. I mean, he can hit righties. Like I don't have questions about that. Mm-hmm. And there is a place in baseball for a player like him in the American League. Not in the National League, it's a lot tougher.
Right.
But in the American League, you could find a way to get him enough at bats versus righties. I mean, the Red Sox are frankly almost doing it this year with Mitch Moreland. So yeah. So we'll see. I'm just not sure they would be comfortable with him taking over long term, though. That's kind of like we need to see the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. But good question. Thanks for the question, Jason. Our next email comes from Aaron. And Aaron says, hi, guys. Thanks, as always, for the great coverage. I'm wondering about the AAA baseballs. We talked about this a little bit on the last episode, Ian. He says, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is this year AAA is using the MLB ball. We talked about that. 3 things. 1, why is only AAA doing this? Why only now? And should we expect to see it in AA and Single A soon? 2, when are we going to start seeing its impact on how teams/scouts evaluate players, i.e. if there's a guy who gets a lot of long flyouts in AA, does a scout go, those might turn into home runs with the new ball? And 3, is there anyone in the Sox system who you think might be particularly impacted by it, good or bad? Thanks so much, Aaron. Working backwards, on number 3, we talked about that last episode, so I invite anyone wondering about that to check out the beginning, actually, of our last episode. We talked a little bit about that with guys in the system. With the second question, when are we going to start seeing its impact on how teams/scouts evaluate players? I mean, I think to some degree with guys who, it's not like balls to the warning track are turning into home runs. It's just that guys who can get to, who hit the ball hard, it's carrying more, which maybe that's somewhat semantics, Ian, but I think that is a slight difference.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what we talked about that last episode. It's guys who make hard contact and hit line drives and can put backspin on the ball. It's more likely to go out.
Correct.
Like top spin line drives aren't going to turn into home runs.
Or like high fly balls that, it's not going to make that big a difference.
Right.
Yeah, because we're seeing the guys who hit the ball really hard, or the guys who, and Acme, for example, hits the ball really hard against righties.
And good scouts were already doing that because they knew the Major League ball was different.
Correct. And the thing is, you can't also plan ahead for this much because MLB could have just abruptly changed baseballs next year. You have no idea. So
and
you can't really. Yeah.
As for why it's only AAA and why now, it's a cost thing. Baseball America wrote about this on April 3rd. J.J. Cooper wrote about it. Quoting J.J., the simplest reason is cost. The AAA teams in MLB will share the increased cost of the switch. MLB baseballs cost about twice as much as minor league balls, running close to $100 a dozen compared to $50 a dozen for the minor league balls at wholesale. He notes that if you wanted to buy them as a fan, it would be like nearly $200 for a dozen to purchase the MLB balls, while a dozen minor league baseballs costs $140 at retail. A minor league team uses between 7,000 and 10,000 baseballs per season. So even just switching AAA baseball to minor league balls will increase the costs for baseball as a whole by roughly $1 million. So that's why.
Which makes sense when you think about the budgets a lot of the minor league teams operate.
But they did this.
AAA.
They did this because they want to see what the minor leaguers closest to the majors look like hitting the Major League Baseball.
But they won't acknowledge the baseball is different.
Of course not. But yeah, switching all of the minors would cost about $35,000 per full season club and $17,500 per short season club. Yeah. So
not an insignificant amount.
And that's why, So that's why they, were slow to make the change, and that's why they did it. So, but that's it. Thanks for the questions, Aaron. And that, again, podcast@soxprospects.com if you want to hit us up with your question, with your thoughts, with your concerns. We want to hear about them because that's what we want to talk about. So thank you, everybody. Ian, I think we can wrap this up, my man.
Yeah. Everyone enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, even though you'll probably be listening to this after Memorial Day. So I hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
And it's draft season. So
we'll be back at you probably on Monday night.
Draft night. You'll get our annual, we give hot takes about 2 guys they just drafted that we know absolutely nothing about except for the 10-second video clip we just watched. So get excited.
Yes, it's always fun. All right, guys, thanks. For Ian, who you can follow on Twitter at Ian Cundall, IANCUNDALL. You can follow me at SP Chris Hatfield. Make sure you follow the site's account at Sox Prospects. For Ian, I'm Chris. Thank you all for downloading. We'll be back at you soon.